Well, there's two more.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
this is our last year that we're doing old bands. We got two more to go, and then move on to like the Killers or something like that.
Nice.
Okay, so Ashley said she's going to be 10 minutes late. Let's see. I think there's a new person, Chase. I'd love to get to know you a little bit more.
Hello.
Hello. How did you hear about Kitsap Harvest?
My grandmother knows one of you, and she sent me the link because I need some volunteering time for college and stuff.
That's me. This is Paisley, and must be Tammy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for joining the call. Stephanie, just real quick, he has hours for volunteering, and I guess I invited saying that we'll learn more about volunteer roles and just like seeing if people have any interest towards grabbing onto like saying, yeah, that sounds great. So at least that's kind of what I thought we would touch on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. That's great. That's awesome. I love it. Is Tammy, would I know Tammy?
No, probably not.
Okay.
So her and I both come from Grays Harbor, went to the same school. We're a few years apart, and then here we were up in this area, and um, I went into my bank, and she was one of the folks in there. Anyway, it was just like, I don't know, small world after all. Here we both were up in this neck of the woods now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, well, I put in the chat 3 different links to things. It's hard because you can't really tell what they are, but the first one is a link to the meeting notes or agenda for today. And then the second one, I think, is called Glean Planner Shared Document. And then the third one is the Glean Planner Handbook, I think. If you open it up, it'll show you. But those are kind of the things I wanted to go through today. I feel like we just lost somebody.
Oh.
I'm still here.
I turned off my camera. Maybe that's why.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Paisley, do you not see the links?
I do not see links in the chat. I
Oh,
see nothing in the chat. So anyone else, or was I just late to the show? And so,
No, I see it. I see it all in the chat. I clicked on the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see what
I'm not seeing any of them either. I think it's because I joined a little late.
Yeah, I'm
I
wondering
just-
if that's the same with me.
that's so weird.
The agenda.
I don't know why it does that. This
Also,
happens.
maybe it says as a guest. Does that make a difference?
Joined as a
Paisley,
guest.
Chase, and Garrett show up as joined as a guest. I don't know if that means
Yeah.
anything.
I don't know. Are you seeing it now, Paisley?
Yes, they came up
Okay.
for me now. The same for you, Chase.
Yeah.
Garrett, yeah.
Yeah, I can see them now.
It doesn't make
Okay.
sense to me that you can put something in the chat and then people who join after it don't see the messages. That seems like a flaw. This happened at the class we had on Monday, and I was like, what? I was trying to be all prepared, put all the notes in there before we started, and then just was not worth it. All right, cool. So let's see. Our agenda. So I guess we've all most of us introduced ourselves last week, or not last week. It was a long time ago. It was like a month ago. But we do have a couple new people to the group, and those new people are Alan and Chase. And so I'd love it if you guys could just say what your name is. If you're new to these meetings, that's actually not a good question because we know you are new to these meetings. And then what is your reason for gleaning, interest in gleaning, and your favorite fruit? We went over that last time too. So I just like hearing about people's favorite fruit. Alan, do you want to go first?
Okay. Let's see. I'm just interested in gleaning to help round up some food so that we can share it with people who can use it and keep from having food go to waste out there in Fruitland. And I guess my favorite fruit would be either a nectarine or peach that is fresh off the tree in California and or Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon, and full of flavor and sugar.
Nice. Thanks, Alan. And I will say too that Alan is on our board, the Kitsap Harvest board. So he's been with Kitsap Harvest for a very long time and is our fruit tree expert. So great resource for anybody who's interested in fruit. Chase, do you want to go next? Just say who you are, your interest in gleaning and your favorite fruit.
Well, my name's Chase. I'd actually never really heard of gleaning before. It was a new word that I found out tonight when I heard about it in the meeting, actually. And my reason for like showing up as I'm 17 years old in college doing running start at Olympic, and I need some volunteer hours, and I hadn't really found anything in the area that really, spoke to me in a way, and that like this just kind of made sense for me to do. Not really sure why, but it just seemed like could be fun.
Yeah, cool.
And
Well,
my favorite fruit is plums.
sorry, say it again.
Plums.
Oh, nice. We have really good plums around here. Oh, Paisley's excited.
Yeah, so many kinds of plums. If you like plums, you've come to the right place. You'll be privy to all the first plums, or could be, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, Chase, when you go on Gleans, we harvest like hundreds of pounds of fruit and then we encourage volunteers to take some home with them. So you could have plums, a lot of plums. I made plum jam last year. It was really good. Anyways, okay, cool. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you're here. So if you look at the agenda, last meeting, we went over the gleaning plan that we're kind of trying to implement this coming season. And if you haven't watched that yet, there's a link. And I encourage you can put it on like 1.5 speed and just like zoom through it. And then you can kind of get a better idea of what the plan is. But today I wanted to, well, I guess before I go into that, I still am looking for somebody who wants to take notes during the meeting. I don't know if there's anybody who wants to just like jot down some notes in this. So if you want to volunteer, I love that. And then I guess 2 things. So one is, are there any questions from the last time we met that you kind of want to talk about, anything that you've maybe thought of between now and then that you want to talk about? And I also wanted to say that my position with Kitsap Harvest ends at the end of June, which is in a little bit over a month. And so we do need somebody to take over running these meetings. And so we're looking for somebody who wants to take on a little bit more of a leadership role and kind of just help with scheduling these meetings. Oh, Alan will take notes. Thank you, Alan. That's fantastic. Okay.
So what was happening at the end of June? You're leaving or you're going on to something else?
Yeah, so my position is grant funded. and the grant only goes through the end of June. And at that point, there is no longer any funding for my position. And so we still have Paisley, who is part-time, and then part-time with Kitsap Harvest. And then we have Iyer, who I thought was going to be on this call, but she'll join us later. She's also part-time. So just my position is ending. So we're looking for volunteers to kind of help take some of that and do a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yes, so where do you get your funding from? Is it state funded or county funded or?
The funding for
Federal
my
funding?
position is from the Washington State Department of Agriculture, the WSDA. So yeah, but there's funding from lots of.
Can we write more grants for more funding or?
I believe that's happening, right, Paisley? Hopefully.
Yeah, well, Stephanie also has, I don't know, you have your own expiration date, even if there was future employment, but yeah, Kitsap Harvest and the staffing and employment is very reliant on being grant funded. As of right now, Kitsap Harvest doesn't have a fundraising mechanism that brings in any sort of consistency. And so beyond operations, staffing is a really big jump, and those grants make it possible. But there's also like a scope of work. And so that's part of what Stephanie is delivering on now is, trying to blossom an idea into a functioning
Position.
yeah. I mean, and if you think of that committee and Stephanie, like handing over the reins as a facilitator, she's asking for a lot of those positions for the different pieces to be taken on by different volunteers. Stephanie, I don't want to talk for you because this is like my second meeting. Stephanie's really done an amazing job. I'm going to hand it back over, but I think what Stephanie was saying is don't worry, you'll still have Paisley and Iyer and you got Alan, and we're very foundational. We're not going anywhere. But we also, as kind of the leadership or staff in this work, we want this to be a volunteer run program. We don't know and see a way that we would be able to do the scope of things that we do if it wasn't for our volunteers. And it's just amazing how we can come together and do this. So yeah, you got it. So
Yeah, it's Paisley. Yeah. So and the hope is that we can set up a lot of the kind of moving pieces to kind of spread out the workload, and then these meetings hopefully would just be something where people are coming together and just like checking in, just making sure everything's running smoothly, ironing out anything that needs help ironing out, and then moving on from there. So it's kind of the hope. But Ashley, hi, how are you?
Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late. I'm doing well.
That's okay.
I'm assuming I just missed the discussion on your leaving.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
I'm sad to hear that you're leaving, Stephanie.
I'm sad too. I'm gonna miss Kitsap Harvest a lot. But I think I'm gonna try to do some volunteering in July, so hopefully I can keep staying with it a little bit longer. Yeah. My husband's going to graduate school, and we're actually moving out of the country in August. So yeah, we're like leaving.
All right, where are you headed?
The St. Andrews, Scotland.
Been there, done that. Bring a rain jacket.
Yeah, I got one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You use it for 11 months out of the year.
I like the rain, so. All right, so let's see. Let's go into our main topic of discussion, which I wanted to go over the Glean planners, because I think that the biggest part, a lot of people who've gleaned before kind of know how the gleaning is going to be happening. It's like a similar process to how we've done it before, but I think the Glean planner is the most new of the volunteer positions. And so if you guys go, I think I'm going to share my screen actually. Let's see. Let's see if that works. Okay. Do you guys see, what do you guys see?
Text. Looks like your
Okay.
screen-
202402226 root tree gleaning.
Cleaning process. Okay.
It went away. It went away.
Oh, it went away. Okay, let
Yeah,
me,
it's a black screen.
sorry, one second. Okay. The problem with having multiple screens.
Okay.
Okay.
Fruit tree gleaning process.
Okay, cool. And then I'm
Windows.
gonna go to this one. So let's see. Okay, so Glean Planner Handbook. Actually, first I'll go to this one, which is that other one. And I just wanted to kind of go over this because I'm hoping that we can go over kind of what this process is going to look like, talk about anything that you guys want to talk about, and then kind of think about if we want to do our first big glean on June 29, and if we think we can pull that off in this time frame, which is about a month away. The idea is that somebody would start planning this glean 2 weeks before it happens. I think, or wait, maybe, sorry, let me just check on this. Yeah, so it'd be about 2 weeks before it happens. So start planning on a Monday and then it would happen the next Saturday. So it'd be a little bit less than 2 weeks. But these are kind of those 2 weeks broken down. And so we would technically need a glean planner for all of these weeks that happen. And so I'd love to start filling these up for people who want to be glean leads and glean planners and who think that they can do this. I want to start trying to fill in names here. It's kind of the goal of the next couple weeks. And so let's just quick go over, well, it's not going to be quick. Might not be very quick. So the Glean Planner Handbook, I made this for the Glean planners. And I think I had said that it would be about 10 hours per week. But the more I thought about it, I don't think it would take that long. I think maybe 5 hours, depending on the time of year and how many sites we have. But I think if you're efficient about it, I don't think we would need 10 hours per week. So going over this Glean planning process. So Glean planner, I call them the GP, just to make it simpler. We'll take windows of 2 weeks where they will be planning for the cluster glean 2 weeks from then, and then we'll be emailing nimble gleans out to registered experienced gleaners. And so the cluster gleans, like we talked about, those would occur on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and they would consist of 2 to 4 sites. And I feel like that is going to depend on how much fruit is at each site. And I think one thing maybe we want to talk about is, do we always want to cut it off at 12 p.m.? Like, do we think that 9 to 12, that's like a chunk of 3 hours, is going past that like probably not a good idea for volunteers? Or like, could we go longer if it's taking longer to glean certain sites? It's just hard to know, how much time it's going to take at each site. But then nimble gleans, those are those ones where the glean planner contacts the homeowner first and finds out if they still want us to glean. And then they're going to send that glean opportunity out via email to those experienced gleaners who say that they're ready to take those gleans on. And then the experienced gleaners will be like, yep, I got that site. And then the glean planner is done with that site. So they don't have to do any more after that. My thought, I still don't know, Paisley, if this is going to work, but giving volunteers access to the Gleaning at kitsapharvest.org email. I don't know if that's possible, but it seems like the most logical thing if we're going to have them emailing like homeowners.
Yeah, and if that is one email that all of the Glean planners have access to, if they did their communication through that, then you start creating a historical record, so to speak, of those interactions. And so contacts will then become integrated. And so new Glean planners, it'll just make it easier. And then you can like follow up on past conversations and people will be privy of it. I think that's a good central communicating place. And then anyone they're communicating with, it's coming from that Kitsap Harvest Gleaning email. And that'll feel good, like a trusted, not like going from your personal email and just wondering if people are gonna answer you.
Yeah. And like the warehouse has an email too, right? And so it's like kind of similar to the warehouse at email.
Yeah.
So
One question, it is an actual email box, right? It's not like the info at where it bounces.
yeah, that's the one I've been using. So it's just like,
Okay.
yeah.
If I can make one comment, it looks like a very well thought out process, Stephanie, and it covers the worst case quite well. But there's a lot of homeowners that will have fruit trees that will know when their plums are going to be ready in 3 or 4 days to be picked, and wouldn't necessarily need all these cross checks. If they feel comfortable that, if my pluots are going to be ready at the end of the week and I could just send the appropriate person an email and just boom, make it happen from that email. It sure would be nice.
That's the problem, Greg. It doesn't just boom happen from that email. There's like an audience that you need to communicate with. You need to make sure your audience has checked the boxes in the liability form for, like, are they going to be covered under Kitsap Harvest if they or the homeowner get hurt? These are, so that's the process.
The way we did it in the Bay Area is that if a homeowner said they wanted their trees picked, we had them find the disclosure thing and the loss, all the paperwork, and then the team of 4 or 5 pickers that knew how to picked, delivered it to the appropriate food bank, and done.
Well, this would be a similar process where the Glean planner would be kind of on the week that they're like on or whatever. They would have access to that email. They would see that email come in from the homeowner. Then they just quick shoot it out to those experienced gleaners. And then it's getting directly to the people that we have like on our list of like, okay, these are the experienced gleaners. So like you'd be on that list, you'd see that email and be like, oh, it's in Paulsbo. Okay, I got it. And then you just take that glean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be critical. I just want to do whatever we can to make it as easy for people to volunteer as we can.
Yeah, totally. I know, it's just there's no easy way for homeowners. Just they don't necessarily want to be posting their fruit to be gleaned to the public. So that's why they go through Kitsap Harvest. They trust that we have our vetted people that are going to know what to do.
Agreed. And I really believe that we really need to work that network. I think you and Paisley and the rest of the team have done that. And, but once you've got a reliable team of homeowners and people that want to provide fruit, that's where we're at in the Bay Area. It wasn't a matter of necessarily a whole lot of new providers, although those were handled as well. But they had really established a relationship with all players.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. That'd be great if we could get to that point. I think, yeah, that just comes, I think, with time and with more development. So, yeah. And a
So
lot of
it's-
times we do, oh, sorry, Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious if, does it take that long to clean some trees, or how many trees do we see? As you said, 2 to 4 sites in 3 hours. Is that fast paced, or is that
Uh,
how many people show up to pick the fruit? Or if you have 4 and they have 40 trees to go through, I'm sure you're not going to get 4 sites in 3 hours, or will you?
Yeah, I would say most sites that we're gleaning at have like 1 to 2 trees.
Oh,
There's never more than that.
okay.
So, like the gleans that I've been at, Paisley, you can add anything because you've been to a lot more gleans than me, but it's been like, one time we had 1 plum tree that we gleaned with 5 gleaners in like 20 minutes and then we were done.
Yeah.
Another plum tree was like so full and crazy, and we had like 7 volunteers and it took us like 2 hours and we didn't even get them all. So it just totally depends on lots of things.
Lots of things.
But they're mostly very short gleans, like you say. This isn't like the Bay Area where you can have back-to-back plums and every kind of fruit in the world to keep a team super busy all day. I think having a half-day pick is going to be a major pick.
So if you have like 2 to 4 gleans on a Saturday, does that mean the same group of people that gleans the first site is going to do the second site and the third site and the fourth? I'm not familiar with the process. Like I said last week, I'm brand new here, and I'm just trying to figure out where I can fit in. And I think spending a day with Paisley tomorrow is going to help me.
Yeah.
With the driving and the truck and stuff, and then when I worked, when I did work before I retired, I did a lot of this stuff, planning. And I look through all this, I go, okay, I can do this. I know how to do this. But I have a lot of questions to ask Paisley tomorrow.
No, that's okay. Your comments are great. I forget, what was the first question you asked? I feel like you.
Sure.
So Stephanie,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
Yeah, Alan.
I was thinking that since we have several people who are new to our system and new to our area and kind of new to, how we glean and the whole gleaning process here, to facilitate their ability to volunteer on week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, that sort of thing. On the first and second week, somebody like me could volunteer to be the glean planner, but coordinate with people like Robert, Corrine, and Greg to sort of mentor them in the whole planning process, so that when they volunteer for week 2 or week 3 or week 4 to be a planner, it isn't something that they're trying to do cold, with no experience, and with no prior, mentoring with somebody, who knows how to do it already. So, I guess I'm suggesting that I could try to be a planner that first, time around, and coordinate once again with people who have some planning skills and are willing to be a Glean planner, yet would like to kind of have a little bit of mentoring to get them going.
I get that. That would be helpful to me because I don't know your process yet, and until I see it once or twice and understand it completely, then I used to do
Yeah.
this for a living. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Awesome. That's great. I love that. I love it, Alan. That's perfect. You know,
Yeah, I just need to know their process and who to contact, or I know it's going to be different each week because of different fruit fields and trees and people and stuff, but you got a good basic outline there that I could probably work from, but I need to ask questions too when I get through this.
yeah. Yeah, totally. I love that, Alan. That sounds like a great idea. I was thinking too, I could do like one of the first weeks as well and just like have kind of be that mentor as well for people, or just be the point of contact for questions and things like that. So yeah, I love that. That's a great idea. If you
Well,
can make
either either you or I, who would be doing kind of like the mentoring, could actually have on, I think it's Monday and Tuesday, or no, Sunday and Monday, could have a little mini, if you will, Zoom session with people like Greg and Robert, and the ones who want to be a Glean planner, and we want them to be a Glean planner, and just go over, okay, here's the things that we need to do. Here's the site or sites that we're looking at for the next Saturday. Here's some information about those sites. Here's where I got the information. This is what we know about that site. And so these are the things that we're going to do to make that successful. And so by having that little Zoom meeting and sharing that information, the sort of new Glean planners kind of like, okay, yeah, I get the idea. I can see what you're up against and what needs to be done and how you're doing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I love it.
That's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Alan, if you can make a note of that, that'd be fantastic. And then I'll follow up and send out some emails to you guys about it and getting signed up and stuff. I do want to show you guys, so the Glean planner, actually, let me go this way. We have our database system for Kitsap Harvest we're trying to move it onto this place called Airtable, which is very cool, but it's a little bit trickier to navigate than maybe just like an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to be creating some like videos where you'll like see my screen and see how to kind of navigate these things. So hopefully it'll be really easy. You just watch the video, you can like pause it, do the thing, watch a little more, do the thing kind of thing. But if we go to our fruit tree gleaning section, I'll just show this. I think I showed this a little bit last time we met, but I wanted to go into a little bit more detail. So these are all our fruit trees that we have registered, or at least sites that we have registered. We have 193 different sites across the county that we have registered as like that we've either gleaned before or they've registered their trees since last year. And some of the sites are sites that we've gleaned at, but they weren't that great of sites, or maybe we weren't able to get to them because of various reasons. So Airtable is this cool extension where you can look at a map and you can change the map to show different views. So if we're looking at, like I said, let's see, where did it go? So the first cluster glean being June 29, we would look over here and select that time window where June 29 falls. So June 16 to 30, June 29 is in there. And these are the sites on the map that show that they're ready at that time. So I'll just click done. So we have some sites that might be ready. And so for this like cluster glean, as a glean planner, you would go in here and start looking into these sites and trying to determine if they're going to work for us to glean there. And so you see these like 3 sites here. It's like, oh, if these all work out, we could do a great little cluster glean right here. And then our warehouse is like right over here. So it'd be awesome. And so you click on it, you do expand record, and you look, and it's a woman named Riema Schultz, I think. And you can see all the information that she has entered and that we have on here. Oh, but then you get to the notes, and it turns out that these people probably don't want us to glean at their site. I think this is a note by Ed. So the sites that are in here already, most of them have been checked already or communicated with in some way. And so being a glean planner, it's going to be all about like checking those notes and seeing what each site, kind of the status of each site. But you can see that they have apples, and those apples are ready on August 1st through 15th. So that's not the one. It says that they have figs, which is ready at the end of June. So they potentially have something. Maybe it would be worth a call. They also say they have plums that are ripe at the end of June. And they have peaches, but those aren't ready till July. They have cherries, which might be ready in June. And so this might look kind of overwhelming, and like a lot of stuff. But I promise, like once you kind of like see it a fair amount, then you'll be like, okay, I got this. And you can see site check report. Okay, so Ed Seal that's our board president. He did a site check here. You can click on that and you can read all about Ed's notes. So we have just like lots of information on these sites. And this is really, I think, going to be the key to planning good gleans. But then, you know, you can check out other places too. Looking at this one.
So that one site you clicked on, we might be back to him several times through the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so they'll show up again on the map, you know,
Right.
once the that time is there. So these people might have some plums that we could pick. You can go down and see. So we have not gleaned there before, like that's on Airtable. We don't have data on a glean, which we probably have gleaned there before, but just not on Airtable. And then site check, we don't have a site check report. So then we just want to make sure that this site has had a site check. And so we can talk about that later. That's something that I haven't quite thought through all the way, is like how those site checks will happen. But yeah. So does anybody have any questions on that?
I think you get a pretty good database there.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And, you know, there's these other places that, let's see, I really want some cherries this year. I don't know if we have many cherries. Oh, here we go. This person says they have cherries. So yeah, just like lots of data. And this is really like the Glean Planners playground, is getting to be like, let's call up these people, see if their fruit is ready, see if, you know, they still want us to glean, and then going from there.
No,
Yeah.
Stephanie,
So
Stephanie,
Yeah, Alan and then Paisley.
yeah, do you know anybody named Robin? Who's
Robin.
one of our gleaners? Because
Primary
if
gleaner.
you're talking about cherries, only people, well, no, only people or animals named Robin get the cherries.
Exactly.
Alan, you got to be positive.
Robin,
I was gonna
We've
bring that
got
up.
cherries, and we've gotten really good cherries, and but it took me a couple years because yeah, the birds know how to find cherries. But we got some homeowners that give us that heads up. They're like, hey, there's a beautiful site in Polsbo and another one over in Manchester. Yeah, they're a little harder to find. But we have peaches. Oh, okay. I had a question.
Yeah.
So on the map page, the one that has that we pull the cluster gleans from and the nimble gleans. So like for the planner, when they're looking at that map, when they see that cluster of 4 or 5 sites or whatever, they kind of zone in there and they go, okay, this is maybe a good area for our cluster glean. And they call and check those sites and figure out which of that 5 are like the best candidates.
Mhm.
Then the other ones that are on the map in that time zone or in that like week span, those are the ones that become the nimble gleans, right? And kind of just get released right out to the experienced gleaners.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
maybe your experienced gleaners then become your site checkers too, because you also have those coming up. You know, maybe they're site checking for the next planner. So they're
Mm.
like kind of 4 weeks ahead, and it gives them that 2 week buffer to do those site checks because they're kind of like going out there to find out if they could reharvest that fruit. I mean, say it's in a nimble glean area, not in a cluster area. Um, it might make that gleaner like Greg, ahead of the curve. And he's like, no, I know this fruit's gonna be ready in like 3 weeks. It's mine. I'm gonna pick it. Um, yeah, and besides, they're also experienced at that point, and so they are gaining those skills. They're like comfortable with Kitsap Harvest, and then we were talking about like having some materials to be able to identify like bugs or just having those notes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty.
Sounds good. I like it. Yeah. I haven't quite got to that part yet, like in terms of documentation. Like it's just a lot of talk so far, but I haven't gotten quite there yet, but it's coming.
If you need help, like on the side, reach out and let's see if I can help you pull together some resources.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So this consult the map, number 1 is kind of what I was talking about. I'm going to create an instructional video for how to do that so that hopefully it's really easy. So I think I talked about all these things. And then determining your cluster. So trying to find that perfect cluster glean. I was thinking about this and I was like, we really need to prioritize quality and accessibility because you saw that map and it was like, there's a lot of sites. And so we really do want to be looking into them, reading those notes that people have taken and being like, okay, is this a site that's worthwhile? Because maybe we've been there, but we only got like 30 pounds of, bad apples. It's like, maybe we shouldn't prioritize that. We also should probably prioritize quality, or quantity. I should say that quantity. Yeah, and then I have made some templates for communicating with the homeowners. So if you're like, I don't know what to say, we have email, you can just plug in the information or a phone call script. And if homeowners are newer who registered their tree like more recently, there is like a question about their communication preference. So we try to, if they prefer email or text or call, we want to respect that. And let's see. This is kind of more getting into the weeds, but we want to keep track of all the communication that we're having and all the information we're gleaning from the sites. We want to keep all of our information up to date. So I'm also going to make a little instructional video about how to edit sites so that you can keep that up. And then you determine the cluster gleans, and the glean planners are going to be the ones who familiarize themselves with the sites and create a map for where the cluster gleans are going to happen. So like we always start at the warehouse, which is this address right here. And so you start at the warehouse, you go, and that's going to be given to that equipment wrangler and the glean planner so that they know exactly what the plan is for the day. And then I do have a part about emailing a Kitsap Harvest employee. I put Ira's name down just because I know she's going to be around. But maybe it'll be somebody else. Maybe it'll be Paisley sometimes. And that's really for sharing and putting it out on our like social platforms and on the Point app. Because I'm still not sure about, Paisley, maybe you can answer this question, but like about giving volunteers access to the Point app, because that's like, has all the volunteer information, and I don't know.
There will be more to figure out about how we're doing that, but I imagine that each committee would be inputting their own events, meaning somebody here would then be creating that event, because you guys are right here with that information. You know how you want it to go down, how many people, and all those specifics. And so rather than handing it off to someone else and hoping they get those details, just so, we're hoping that each group themselves will post their events out there, but it will probably be like a designated person, because it is kind of this back end entering piece. So we'll figure out how that process can be formalized to make it easier.
Okay.
I do have one thing I'd just like to throw out. I've been getting pretty active with political action committees. And one of the things that I'm supporting right now, they're implementing partial ranked choice voting in Maine right now. So I spent this morning sending about 4,000 texts to people in Maine to help explain the system, because the women's voter, whatever it's called, League of Women's Voters, put out a nice brochure. And so this organization that I signed up with, called Represent Us, is trying to get that data out to the citizenry. That seems like something that we should be doing, within Kitsap County, because I pretty much know where all the fruit is in the western half of Poulsbo, but I can easily do a walking tour of any person around. If we could make it that easy so that local citizens could just walk around the block and talk to their neighbors and report in, on a standard template that you had, Stephanie. Not to add another piece to your 1 month process, but FYI.
Yeah. So what was that called? Was that like a texting thing?
I'll send you a link to it.
Well, if you have their email address, can you send them stuff out in email?
Yeah, well, I'll talk to I'm linked into the promoter back in Washington, DC, who's using this tool. I'd like to get a story around what it costs and what they find out about it before I go any further recommending it.
Yeah, I think if we could do like an SMS like texting campaign, that would be super cool, but I think that does cost money, and I don't know if Kitsap Harvest can do that.
So Stephanie, I have another question. So I'm thinking, and I hope I have the right paradigm here on the Glean planner. If I'm assuming that the Glean planner would be planning cluster gleans in Port Orchard and Bremerton and Silverdale and Paulsbo, kind of the whole county. I'm thinking that might be a little too much. And I'm wondering if we can resurrect, and it's almost, what I'm suggesting is almost what Robert was talking about, or excuse me, Greg, where we add another layer to the process. And the layer that we're adding is more of a regional thing. And Paisley used to do this where she would assign me kind of like gleans in the South Kitsap area. And Ed would do gleans in the Bremerton area. And Jenny was kind of like focusing on gleans in the Paulsbo area. So that instead of me trying to plan cluster gleans in this huge area, I would focus more my energy on South Kitsap. And depending on where, let's say Ashley or Greg or Robert or, you know, the different people live geographically, they then, instead of doing it every other third or fourth week, they would actually maybe take on the role of Paulsbo, and then they could track the trees and the homeowners in the Paulsbo area and plan cluster gleans. And if there's a cluster glean on a Saturday and they get it all done, and it turns out that they only gleaned half the fruit because only half was ready, and they know that, okay, we need to come back 4 days from now and do another nimble glean. Well, that worked because they were kind of just focusing on, you know, the Paulsville area. So I'm suggesting that maybe this sort of regional scheme might help us.
Yeah, I was thinking that kind of would be how the nimble gleans are occurring. And the reason why I think having glean planners is really valuable is because we won't have a gleaning coordinator this summer. And that was a big part of like my job last summer when I jumped into the gleaning, was just like that intake of all those people who are submitting, who are saying like, I have fruit to glean, I have fruit to glean. Like we need somebody to be able to take that information and disseminate it out, right? And so that's what the glean planner is doing. They're planning those cluster gleans, but they're disseminating out the information about those smaller gleans. So Alan, you'd get emails being like, there's 5 sites in Port Orchard that are all ready this week. And then you can go and take with that what you can handle. If that makes sense.
Now it does.
Okay.
Well, and I think he could also create like an event and invite some, you know, other gleaners, other public to sign up, you know, and join him on that. But then he's kind of in control of what day and, you know, asking for how many people and then grabbing his equipment. But yeah, it's a lot more nimble, and it doesn't mean you're totally on your own, but you're more on your own than someone else setting it up for you.
Yeah.
I really back, you know, what Alan's saying. It worked so well for me in the Bay Area because it was very local. We didn't have to go very far at all to get plenty of fruit, and there were plenty of fruit as well. There's so many advantages that simplifies things so much by doing it that way.
Yeah. And I mean, Kitsap Harvest isn't huge, you know, like we're not going anywhere out of Kitsap Harvest, but the idea of the cluster gleans, Alan, to go back to kind of what you were saying, is that we're just planning to have 1 cluster glean on a Saturday per Saturday. So like, we're not going to have like 3 cluster gleans happening on 1 Saturday.
Okay.
And so it would be the glean planner. Your mission is to plan that 1 cluster glean in wherever seems like the best place to go. And that way it's allowing for more big groups to come and do stuff because it's been harder in the past. We've had such like small scattered gleans that were more random. And so if we just say every Saturday we're going to do this, then it allows for like corporate groups or Boy Scouts or groups like that to plan when they're going to volunteer with us. And so we might not know where we're going, but it's somewhere, you know, within half an hour, 45 minutes of kind of central Kitsap, if that makes sense.
Well, this last part really kind of helped a little bit because I was assuming that we were going to be having cluster gleans in multiple locations around the county or the area, and that seemed like it was a little too much.
That would be
Yeah,
all-
no.
The nice thing, Alan, is instead of asking you to lead a glean every Saturday like I have in the past, we would probably just ask you, you know, like every 3 weeks or however on some sort of rotation, when it comes to the leads to be able to lead. Because I think Stephanie won lead for the group of volunteers on that cluster glean. So it'd be
Yeah.
like you out at that place in Port Orchard and you had I don't know, like 20 volunteers. That's basically a cluster glean.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the Bjorky site with about 8 or 9 trees, and yeah, we had 10 or 12 volunteers, and we needed it because there was a lot of fruit there, and we weren't done at 12 o'clock either. And there
Yeah.
was a return visit.
Yeah. And I think there's more fruit that we can pick, you know, but it's all dependent on who's going to be leading it, who's going to be coordinating it. And then are we going to have volunteers who sign up? Like, I think it's hard to know with this newer plan, like how many volunteers we're going to have. But I know in the Bay Area, like at Village Harvest, they have to turn people away and they have to tell people if you've gleaned recently, don't sign up for the next like month to like let other people join. So, you know, it's like we haven't had that many volunteers that we're like, we don't know what to do with all of you. So if we get to that point, then we can just increase what we're doing. But I think this is like the starting off point. Hopefully.
What time does our meeting go till?
Like right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this hour went by so fast. I do not know what happened. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing because you guys can look at that more if you would like. But yeah, I feel like we got some things accomplished.
For the notes, I never got Robert's last name.
Weaver. Weaver.
Okay.
Weaver.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Jason, what time do you want to meet in the morning?
Oh, sorry. We are meeting at 10:30
Okay, I saw
at the
that. I
warehouse.
didn't know if it was earlier than that, or I'll be there early. I'm former Navy.
Yeah, I
employee.
mean, if we
always
want to
like
meet there, if we want to meet at 10, we can do that.
Okay.
All right, then 10
Cool.
o'clock it is.
If you see a little white
Sounds
car
good.
looking lost, that'll be me.
I have a white car also. It's a larger white car.
Park out in front, I'll find you.
We'll find each other.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then Chase, I was gonna message you. I want to put you and Stephanie in connection just so you can get a few more questions answered. I realize this meeting is kind of a couple steps ahead, and gleaning is a new word for you as of tonight. And yeah, I'd like to. I guess I could talk to you too. But yeah, I want to make sure that you have someone you can connect with to answer your questions. And also I wanted to find out approximately how many hours you needed for school, what you're looking to accomplish.
Stephanie and Paisley, do we have contact information for everybody here who's here?
I have everybody's email except for Chase. And I'm guessing Paisley has his email.
Okay,
Not yet, but,
Oh, okay.
yep.
Okay.
so if Chase is hearing that, Chase will probably provide that.
Yes, I can put it in the chat really quick.
All right. Thanks. Cool. Well, I appreciate you guys listening to me rattle on about things. And I don't
Cherries.
know. Oh, nice. Perfect. Thank you. I'll save that too. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, feel free to take a look at that document that I created a little bit more in depth. I'll probably be adding to it as well. And then yeah, our next meeting hopefully will be on the, oh shoot, when did I say it was going to be? I think it's June 12th is our next meeting. Because I'm not available the other days. Let's see. Perfect. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Let me know if you have
Stephanie?
anything. Yes.
On that June 12th meeting, instead of 6 to 7, do you want to make it 6 to 8?
Maybe. Let's talk about that. I'll think about it.
Okay,
I am trying to make these meetings like to the point. Like I don't want them to take too long. I know there's a lot to talk about, but yeah, I'm hoping for like a more succinct meeting. And then really the hope is that these meetings won't be that long going forward either. But I'll think about it. Thanks for the suggestion.
You said
Well-
the next meeting is June 7th?
12.
12th, okay.
Yeah.
So it's at 6 to 7 right now?
6 to 7. Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Got it.
All right. And then, yeah, if you guys want to think about too, like if you want to start doing Glean planning, and Alan and I can talk about, pairing up with people and doing it that way. So yeah, super exciting. And with that, I will let you guys go because I don't want to take too much of your time.
Good
All
night,
right.
Stephanie. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you guys.
Everybody,
Good
take
night.
care.
Good night, everyone.